Right now on KGW News, missing before takeoff. The key pieces investigators now say were not in place on the panel that blew off an Alaska Airlines flight. Plus,
may God have mercy on your pathetic soul.
A grieving family confronts their loved one's fiancé, who's now her accused killer. And Beaverton residents demanding change from city leaders.
I think people are at their wits' end.
Why they say their neighborhood has become so unsafe. Then later, check out the shiny new performing arts center that could be part of Portland's future. Thanks so much for joining us at 11. I'm David Molko. We begin this Tuesday with frustration and anger from community members over a shelter they say has led to some big challenges in their Beaverton neighborhood. Things that go beyond public drug use and include worries about kids at a nearby school. Catherine Cook was at a Beaverton City Council meeting tonight where neighbors vented those concerns. Catherine?
David, this hinges on last week when neighbors witnessed a man accidentally kill himself in the city park across from the homeless shelter. They say it was a breaking point after months of increased crime in an area they can no longer enjoy.
Flowers mark the spot where a man died last week in Beaverton City Park. Police say he had accelerant on his clothing and accidentally set himself on fire while trying to light a cigarette.
It was only a matter of time before they hurt somebody, if not themselves.
Joe Russo lives across the street. His heart goes out to the man who died, but he's also frustrated. He and other neighbors say they've been dealing with a lot since this homeless shelter went in next to the park.
Public urination, defecate, it's just drug use. I've seen open drug use. And then just the mental illness side of it.
Probably everyone that I've had an issue with is mentally ill.
Neighbor Carrie Foster says just this week, someone knocked on her door looking for butane to smoke drugs with. She says that's far from the worst of it.
I came home one day to find somebody walking out of my bathroom in my house. I've had coffee thrown in my face on my property. I've been assaulted for no reason, just out of the blue.
And then there are the kids. St. Cecilia School is also within view of the shelter. Parents say for months they've tried in vain to convince city leaders to see what they're seeing.
Drug deals in front of children, children offer drugs, acts of public indecency.
On Tuesday night, parents packed Beaverton City Hall to vent their frustrations to elected leaders about those who use the shelter space.
I get that we need to take care of them and we need to do something, but we can't have them around the kids. It's as simple as that.
We are here to tell you to move this shelter immediately. There is no time to wait for another death to occur.
The shelter opened in 2017, a partnership between nonprofit Just Compassion and the city of Beaverton. For many years, it served only as a severe weather shelter. But in 2023, it began operating year-round. Beaverton police have increased patrols in the neighborhood. They tell KGW between August and December of last year, they responded to around 1,500 911 calls within a half mile of the shelter. They say around 70 of those calls were directly related to the shelter.
We feel for them, but at the same time, this is not helping them, and it's certainly not helping the community. It's just it's a lose-lose. It just seems like there would be a better solution.
Neighbors say they're hopeful this shelter will close next August when the city wraps construction on a larger facility with treatment services, though there are no clear public timelines, just a lot of worry.
I just hope it doesn't become like Portland has become.
We dropped into the homeless shelter this afternoon, and those working there told us they couldn't speak with us. We also reached out to the executive director of Just Compassion and are waiting to hear back. Last week, the mayor of Beaverton issued a statement after the park death. She said, in part, we are dedicated to a balanced strategy that supports those in need while ensuring the safety and integrity of our community. David.
Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate the follow-up tonight. By the way, public drug use has now shifted to a new corner of downtown Portland, this time near a Southwest Portland park, a preschool, and a church. Police say they've been targeting this particular area for weeks. On Monday, they were handing out citations to folks using drugs around Southwest Jefferson and 10th. The mayor's office tells us they are aware of the concerns and have removed some tents, but parents who send their kids to the preschool say more needs to be done.
This is a scary world for them to be growing up in, and this is the last thing I thought I'd have to worry about with them at daycare.
That we've seen an increase in fentanyl use and dealing activity in that neighborhood, so we've moved our resources there to address those problems.
And this area always has been known for a pretty heavy drug area, so honestly I believe they shouldn't have put a preschool right in there.
All right, that is one sentiment. The city says it can only do so much since drug possession and public use are not crimes under current Oregon law. Mayor Ted Wheeler says he will continue to push the state to change drug use laws. Meanwhile, police say they will keep handing out citations. Well, tonight, a new report from federal transportation safety investigators reveals there were pieces missing from that door plug that blew off an Alaska Airlines plane last month. Investigators saying the evidence shows it appears the bolts used to secure the panel were not in place before Boeing even delivered the 737 MAX 9 to the airline. Kyle Aboshi has the update.
The National Transportation Safety Board released its preliminary report today, roughly 1 month after the January 5th incident when pilots were forced to make an emergency landing at PDX with a hole in the side of their plane. Federal investigators say bolts used to secure the panel that blew off an Alaska Airlines plane last month over Portland were likely missing before the plane took off. According to an NTSB report released Tuesday, 4 bolts used to secure the panel, known as a door plug, were removed and appear not to have been replaced while the Boeing 737 MAX 9 was being repaired at a Boeing factory in Renton, Washington. The highly anticipated findings come roughly 1 month after Alaska Airlines Flight 1282 departed from PDX to Ontario, California. Minutes after takeoff, pilots were forced to make an emergency landing with a gaping hole in the side of the plane. The preliminary report said the door plug, installed by supplier Spirit Aerosystems, arrived at Boeing's factory with damaged rivets around the panel. The panel was opened to make repairs, and the bolts that keep the door plug in place were removed. But federal investigators say not all the bolts were put back after the rivets had been repaired and the door was reinstalled. As evidence, the NTSB provided a photo showing bolts missing. During a House subcommittee hearing on Tuesday, FAA Administrator Mike Whitaker vowed to hold Boeing accountable.
Recent events, especially the January 5th incident involving the Boeing 737 MAX 9, have shown us we can't become complacent when it comes to maintaining safety and public confidence in the aviation system.
In a statement, Boeing's chief executive said, "Whatever final conclusions are reached, Boeing is accountable for what happened. An event like this must not happen on an airplane that leaves our factory. We simply must do better for our customers and their passengers." The report answers critical questions about why the door plug detached shortly after takeoff, but the NTSB did not declare a probable cause for the incident. That will come at the end of an investigation which could take a year or longer. Kyle Aboshi, KGW News.
Developing this evening, the fiancé of a woman who was missing in Northeast Portland for over a week has now been charged with her murder. Authorities allege John French killed Jeannie Inyart and left her body inside her vehicle in Skamania County. French was arrested Monday night and charged with second-degree murder. Inyart's family members say French mistreated her throughout their 2-year relationship, and they always assumed he was somehow involved in her disappearance.
I also want her to be an example of domestic abuse and how hard it is to leave. And I am so angry too. I'm so angry. It's not fair.
It is not clear yet if French will be granted bail. He is also charged with abusing a corpse. Let's get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now. The search for a Portland murder suspect has now expanded to Southwest Washington. Police say Annalisa Gold killed her husband in late January in the Lentz neighborhood. Authorities say she now may be around Toutle, Washington or Mount St. Helens. Police say they believe Gold is driving a burnt orange Toyota 4Runner with Oregon plates and white decals on the rear windows. Anyone who sees her should call 911. Police have made an arrest in a deadly hit-and-run in southeast Portland early Monday morning. Authorities say 26-year-old Skylar Lee Stiles was speeding through a work zone at 82nd and Flavel when he hit a man who was crossing the street. And then he took off. Lee Stiles was arrested shortly after that. He's facing charges that include criminally negligent homicide. And an 18-year-old is behind bars after police found what they call a functional machine gun in his home. Portland police say they served a high-risk warrant on a home on North Jersey Street this morning in response to recent shootings in that neighborhood. Inside, officers found this, a 9mm handgun, they say, with a 50-round drum magazine and a switch that makes it fully automatic. They also found bullet holes in the walls and ceiling. Keandre Horgain was arrested and booked into the Multnomah County Jail. You're watching KGW News, and still ahead at 11, renovate or relocate as officials take a look at one potential vision for an aging Keller Auditorium. And 3 cheers for the Hops, how much they've just secured toward a new ballpark, and the one thing that's still standing in the way.
And today we had showers, we had sun breaks, you put them together and you get this, rainbows, even double rainbows. So kind of a nice look to the sky. We're going to see the changes that we go through over the next month in Portland with our rainfall, our temperatures, and sunset times. Scattered showers in the forecast, also a lowering snow level. We'll let you know how much is coming to the mountains and how much sun we'll see this weekend.